And thank you to you, esteemed audience, for staying here for the final presentation. Last but not least, Maria Anhalt, Chief Executive Officer of Elektrobit. Maria has a great industry track record in software and technology and received numerous awards. Most recently from Automotive News in 2022, All-Star for software innovation. Wow. Yeah. Before becoming CEO of Elektrobit, Maria held several leadership roles at Elektrobit and Continental, and before that she worked with HP. And Maria selected a very important topic, how software can be an enabler for a more sustainable mobility. And I think it's also included a call to action. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you. Thank you, Ricky, for the nice introduction. Thank you and the advisory board for the invitation to be here again at the AEK in Ludwigsburg. It's an honor for me. It's an honor for us to be on stage again. Thank you very much for that. And good afternoon for everyone here. Last speech for today. And the topic is sustainability. You may find to be a very odd thing that I stay here on stage to speak about something that I have never talked about, and it's not technology, it's not operating system, it's not innovation and software and platforms and anything of this that we usually speak about at Elektrobit. And you also may find it odd to relate the topic of software with sustainability. It's not the most natural topic, and yet we believe it is important. And I'm here today to raise the awareness and where we believe software plays a role in technology, in software, in automotive space, and how we can improve. So for the entertainment today, for that particular half an hour, we will speak about the narrative of sustainability as it is today, and then speak about does software play a role, what is the role of the software in that game, and I want you to take 4 opportunities, 4 areas of where we need a call for action when we all need the industry to take a closer look into this. Our software moves the world. It's a purpose, it's a vision statement for all of us in Elektrobit, for the entire company. We are a pure play software company, system and software company for 35 years. In fact, we do celebrate this year 35th anniversary in the industry, and we are extremely proud to know that more than 600 million vehicles, cars on the streets today carry our software, have embedded software from us on this. And there was one analyst who told me recently, Maria, this is like 2/3 of all cars on the, and it's indeed, it's a lot of vehicles. And as much we are proud with this, it also reminds us about the responsibility, the accountability that we carry in the industry, in the ecosystem, in the society for what we do. And we have been thinking of what is our role moving forward for the next 600 million cars that will leave the factory into this. I'm not here to highlight the solution or we have knocked it all and we know all the answer and preach here how to do this. We are still into this and we are finding our ways how to contribute to the community here. But I also want to raise the awareness for all of us as all companies, automotive space, either consume or contribute to the software ecosystem here of what needs to happen. Now, if you look at the priority of sustainability as a strategic paradigm, there is no surprise. There was a recent report published that highlighted that almost 2/3 of the large-scale automotive organizations have a sustainability strategy. However, only 1/10 of them have a mature program in place. And this report comes from Capgemini. It's called the automotive industry in the era of sustainability. And what they refer to as the mature system is that those companies are expected to either have made a major progress and impact on the sustainability side, and at the same time have KPIs, have levels for the most important levels of what they need to achieve it. So the progress is not significant if you look the amount of time that we have been speaking about sustainability, and we all see the pressure of the society, the politics, and everything around this. And what I also found very interesting in this report from Capgemini is they also refer to that the number of investors, venture capital or really investors, large-scale banks, financial institutions, that assess company and invest in company for the last 5 years doubled their predictions, their evaluations of the companies based on the topics of sustainability. And those of you who are on the supervisory board know how hard it is to get funding and investment if you don't meet those criteria. So this is also a very interesting trend that is getting more and more severe as we move forward. But it's not just the investors or the banks or the evaluation of the company or anything like this. It's more than this. It is the scientific researchers, the universities, it is our customers, it's the employees who demand us to take an action and to be much quicker and much faster in the industry. Most of the time we read in the press about the Generation Z and all the people that are coming on the street, but it's not just them. It's more of this that is going there. So up until now, however, when we speak about sustainability, all eyes are centered on materials and hardware, whether this is fuel, cables, components, hardware, infrastructure. These are the tangible things, the CO2, the carbon neutrality, where most of the eyes and attention is being centers. And we're seeing incredible innovation and speed of probably all companies that are here to cope with this disruption and come up with innovation, how to address the pace of change, the legislation criteria that are coming from the governments, and how to move quicker. Software has not been in a center of this, nor to have an attention here. And it is our responsibility to take a fair share of this responsibility, knowing the amount of software that is increasing more and more, and we are talking about the software-defined vehicles, and how we do move into there. And with all challenges that we are facing, we also have a lot of opportunities. Looking forward, the way we design, we develop, we deploy software in the automotive space has an immense impact on the environmental footprint and the mobility as a whole. And I'll take you one very simple example. If you return to the time, how much turns you have saved, or how much fuel you have saved when you had your first time your navigation system in the car integrated, and how it is before, and how much software can calculate on this. And software means that also in the way how we develop software, we produce code, there are a lot of things that we can consume, we can see, we can apply to make software less resource consuming, more efficient, more sustainable and minimizing the long-term impact on the environment. Also from the life cycle management, if we look at the opportunity to maintain a recent car, a vehicle for a longer period of time and do not allow it to amortize so quickly with the ability to update the software and make it more recent. And in that sense, it makes a lot of sense to release and produce cars with a full-blown hardware, which may appear as a waste at the first time, if we consider the opportunity that we can enable any possible option in the car and feature and make this available on the long term. And this, however, also creates a number of challenges in the environment. So what do we do and why do we do obsolete hardware if we cannot maintain the software for a long time and the requirement to maintain it for a longer time? And very often, I believe many of you know the need sometimes to take off the hardware because the software is not working any longer because the standards are broken or somebody has not applied the standard or not considered something. So energy consumption is a near emerging factor for the devices and how to make it repeatable again and again. So if we look at the opportunities ahead of us and how we can structure the impact of software and where sustainability plays a role, we are seeing 4 major groups. This is the standardization, the optimization, the virtualization, and then the collaboration across the entire ecosystem of the mobility, and I would even say even outside of the automotive ecosystem. Standardization plays a major role. We heard yesterday, I believe in maybe half of the talks and the presentation, how important standardization is to create speed, time to market, reuse components, and how much work is still there. This is something that we use in the company based on our evaluations and our conversations with customers, that approximately 60% of the software in the car is non-differentiating in the eyes of the end user, meaning the immediate value, something to experience the trade bank. And the number is not that important. I talked to somebody from McKinsey last year in Munich, and they said, Maria, we estimated 75. So whether it's 75% or 60% or 50%, it does not matter that much, but it's a whole amount of software that is very similar, if not the same, in a multitude of car lines. And many of us try to reinvent the wheel and again and again and again. And I'm not here to just preach everything is done, and there are many guilty people here in the room that just need to take it and put it, because there is also a lot that is not yet done. We spoke yesterday about the need to adhere to those standards and not do each time. Somebody mentioned yesterday, I think it was BMW with the AutoSAR, and then we made so many mistakes allowing so many exceptions of the standards. Then we talked about that there are so many standardization committees, and even now if we see SOFI and an Eclipse, and then again, if somebody does not see something, Field creates yet another standardization committee. We talked about interoperability and APIs, and heard at least 3 of the major OEMs say that yes, they want to control the overall energy flow and the EE architecture, and yet the operating system is a combination of API and standards and components based on interoperability. And this is where we also have quite some work to complete here in this space. Important here is to also highlight that it's not correct to think that there is an ownership here and there is one single company that owns it. It's more collaboration of the entire ecosystem to allow reuse across standardized components, commercial off-the-shelf products, and the open source community outside there in the industry. And then I will move to optimization. And if we start here with the cloud first, workflows powered by cloud providers, and we work with the majority of the cloud providers, have a very strategic also partnership with AWS, who estimate that delivering products and services on their cloud infrastructure can lower the carbon footprints by 80 to 90, 96%, which is enormous what we can do here. And we also require to not just deliver monolithic products and services, but also think of microservices and consumable elements here. If we see in the products like the products that we have in the automotive operating system framework, we're speaking about safe and secure software builds with product based on certainly the classic and adaptive AutoSAR, but also on the Android open source operating systems such as Linux, hypervisors, in-vehicle network communications, and others. We are working to bring those components, that developments in the cloud to be available for development for the customers and enable optimization in this way. And then we have the software lifecycle management that maintains the viability of the software over a longer period of time, and you can think about version control, maintainability, supportability, different possibility to build this on the long term. And then we have the third element with virtualization. From my experience on the enterprise software side, it's probably one of the most powerful technology and ways of making impact here. It's around the creation of virtual environment where you can combine software and hardware in different configurations, different permutation, and allow multiple developers to access it while this is running on the same physical system. That can be scaled across the globe, which allows distributed teams to remotely access such environments. And I'm sure many of you who have applied this already in the corona time, in the pandemic side, have seen how much help that is providing there. But we also have the more efficient testing and the workflows around testing and what we can simulate in those environments around the data and the workflows and make testing much more efficient. And in fact, I think it was McKinsey who estimated that in the cost in the software development in the automotive space, 25 to 30% of the cost is spent in the validation and the testing of the vehicles, and it's even more to the 30%. So 1/3 of the cost is in testing and validation. Hundreds of millions of euros and dollars that we spend around this that is not always parallelized. And you can imagine the impact of this if we're able to save the hardware, to reduce the number of traffic that we do not always travel to the, frozen sea in Sweden to test something. We still do, but to reduce the amount of those cases. And also simulation, virtualized simulations environments. We do a lot of those for ADAS systems where you don't need to go on the street and test everything, but simulate this in a lab environment. So significant opportunity here for speed development, but also for reduction of hardware, travel, speed, and everything. And then last but not least, we have the collaboration. No company, no single vendor can do it all alone, and we're still on the road. I spoke about the matter of standardization and how much each and every one of us needs to align here to make sure that the benefit of standardization can really be monetized and seen in the industry. Or if you take the example with the cloud-first workflows, which is also a cross-vendor play to make sure that this is happening, we need to really collaborate across all the vendors in the industry. And I would even say it's beyond automotive. If you think now in Internet of Things and the environment, what other adjacent industries are doing here. So, in conclusion, software can, and we are optimistic that software will help our industry become more sustainable, and software will play a role to improve the image of this industry and create a more positive outlook and contribute to making the KPIs and where we need to go. And if I want you to remember two things from this last talk for today, it's the two things is when you think sustainability, always think hardware and software. They both play a vital role in the sustainability and environmental place. And second, if you think about the soft and sustainability, what each of us need to do, it's the four areas around standardization, around optimization, virtualization, and the collaboration across the industry. And then finally, the time to act is now. It's time to move the software community and get all together. It's not just the scientists, it's not just the employees, it's not just the investors out there, the politicians, it's all of us. And those of you who hire or involved in the Generation Z or have teenager kids at home, I do have one. It is the LFG call for action for all of us. And with that, I would like to close the talks for today and see whether there are any questions.
Maria, my appreciation for exactly selecting the topic and covering it. We were discussing on that yesterday evening. It is not the first obvious thought to exactly pick that topic, but it is important that every aspect in our daily life is sorted out with respect to sustainability. There is one question. Do you believe the software efficiency gains are really going to lead to a reduction in energy consumption? If not, doesn't the challenge need to be primarily met on the energy supply side?
I think it's both. You cannot say just the energy supply side. I truly believe there is a lot that we can do on the software side in the way how we design software, how we consume software, where we research and what we do. And if you look at the terabytes of data that we upload in the vehicle, and if you look at what can be done with delta processing, or even applying some of the many patents that we have, that you just don't take any data for testing, for example, but just take the relevant data, like the science and the crossroads, a lot can be done. And even within the companies, when I'm being sent sometimes a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, it's triple-digit MBs, and I say, why such a huge file? And then the answer is, you don't need to save it on your laptop. It's somewhere on the share. It's terabytes in energy, and we are all doing this and transmitting this through the internet. So
Absolutely.
It's both.
Every long-distance walk starts with the first step. Maria, thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah. you.